Good morning, fellow changemakers. It's great to be with you. I'm going to be talking, this is the nerd part. I know there have been other nerd parts, but I'm going to be talking about accelerating climate action with green eyes in the sky. So it's no surprise, I think, to any of us here that we have a dramatic crisis going on, and the tipping points are already happening. The planetary tipping points, for example, the largest carbon removal source on the planet, the Amazon rainforest, last year, according to Nature, switched to becoming a net emitter of carbon rather than a remover of carbon. If this isn't sort of a wake-up call for all of us, nothing is. So my team at Google, the Google Earth team, for more than a decade, we've been trying to focus on how could we mobilize the best of Google's mapping technology, the data that we have, invent new technology as needed to help accelerate progress on climate change, addressing that, and other environmental sustainability issues. Maps are incredibly powerful tools for informing decision-making, for raising awareness, driving advocacy, and we wanted to bring the best of that to these problems. Fortunately, there's amazing Earth observation data that is freely available to all of us through enlightened data policies of the US government, the European government, and so on. And in 2008, NASA and USGS made the monumental decision to make the Landsat archive the longest continuous Earth-observing mission ever, which started during the Vietnam War era and has been continuously operating since then, make all that data public, open, and free. It was millions of images of the planet, petabytes of data, billions of megabytes of data, sitting on tapes in a vault. And many of those images had never been accessed or mined for insights. So when you have a massive big data from space archive like that has so much potential to inform our understanding of how the planet, what is the current state of the planet, how has it been changing over time, what are the trends, be able to predict. There was a need to create a new platform, and scientists, rainforest nations, a number of folks came to us and said, we like Google Maps, we like Google Earth, but what we really need is Google to build the world's most comprehensive environmental analytical engine, bring all that data off tapes, bring it online, have it accessible. We understand Google has a few computers in your data centers. Give us access to that. And it was really important because we were losing, at that time, they said, 1 million acres of the Amazon every year to tropical deforestation, happening in remote places that were not supportable by law enforcement on the ground, but you could build a virtual alerting system with this type of data, except it would take them weeks or months or years to try to analyze it on a single computer. So we built what we called Earth Engine, Google Earth Engine. We're now bringing all that data online, co-located with tens of thousands of computers for scientists and all sorts of practitioners to use for free our data and our capabilities for getting an understanding of the planet. The big breakthrough, and I'm going to do a fast history thing here, the big breakthrough was Matt Hansen of University of Maryland was did the first global high-resolution map and measurement of the forests of the world and how they're changing over time using Earth Engine, based on that Landsat archive that had taken us 3 years to bring off all those tapes, working with USGS and online in the Google Data Center. It took 1 million hours of computation to run his scientific algorithms, but because we ran it on 10,000 computers, we had the result in 4 days, which may seem like a lot, but on a single computer it would have taken 15 years. So just wanted to share that with you because it's like, wow. We can now, scientists and everyone can now ask and answer questions that were never possible before. It's not about, oh, instead of 10 minutes, it takes 5 minutes. It's like, no, instead of I can't ask this because it would have taken years, it's like, I can have this at my fingertips. So Earth Engine, if you want to step back, it is sort of three things. It is this largest, updating every 15 minutes, data catalog of Earth science data, environmental information streaming in from hundreds of sources. It's now 50 petabytes of data, growing by a petabyte a month. As I said, we co-locate it with massive computing resources. With a few lines of JavaScript, you can say, tell me all the change over the Amazon for the last 40 years, and boom. I say to some of our partners, you're dimming the lights of Google when you run that thing. And they're like, yeah, we like doing that. And then, because it's been out there for a decade now, we have this amazing ecosystem of scientists, NGOs, governments, UN environment programs, so on, who are using, and now private industry who are using this, sharing algorithms, sharing data. It's a really fantastic ecosystem. So I mentioned that breakthrough science study of forest change. What we're really excited about is the trend is now, yes, we can turbocharge the science, but now let's turn it into practical, operational, daily applications that are providing insights to decision makers or transparency where that is needed. So Global Forest Watch, led by WRI, powered by Earth Engine, is a great example of that, issuing alerts that are weekly, I think at this point, that are directly leading to reduction in deforestation. Not everywhere, because data doesn't do everything, but in a number of places. The US Forest Service is using Earth Engine to manage more than 500 million acres of public lands. And Unilever is now at the forefront of eliminating deforestation from their palm oil supply chain and their other commodity supply chains, which is super exciting. So let's take a second on that. You're looking here at the kind of analysis that you can do with Earth Engine, where you have at your fingertips all these different data sets. You can bring in your own data. And in this case, this is informing decision-making about the mills from which to source palm oil, because you can derive insights about the level of deforestation associated with the palm oil coming from those mills. Longer conversation I'm happy to talk later about. OpenET is a fantastic collaboration with NASA, EDF, and Desert Research Institute, which is using the thermal band of Landsat. So this is not just images or pictures, it's scientific data that is measuring the heat that is radiating from all of these places. And with a lot of this data, you can derive information on the agricultural crop uptake of water, and from that derive insights about the use of aquifer water, of groundwater, which, as you can imagine, in places like the American West, where we have increasing scarcity of water resources and a lot of contention, that type of data made freely available to everyone enables much better planning and management of water resources. Okay, we're going to switch to cities. So I think it's understood that cities are really where a lot of the action is in terms of creating change around transportation, building emissions, and so on. So again, we are sourcing public data and we collect data, street view and so on, aerial imagery. How can we bring that, how can we mobilize that to help cities with their climate action planning. We worked with Global Covenant of Mayors, C40, a number of partners to build what we call the Environmental Insights Explorer, that is distilling from all of our raw geospatial data insights around building emissions, transportation activity, opportunities to reduce CO2 through, for example, solar, air pollution at a hyper-local street level, and then insights around where does it make sense to plant trees for addressing urban heat island effects. So to give you just an insight about the data, this is Project Sunroof, which is a part of Environmental Insights. We're looking at every 10 centimeter pixel on that roof. We're modeling what is the solar energy potential of that place. Here we're looking at, and we model it over 15-minute intervals over every day of the year, taking into account shading and weather and latitude and all these other things. And it's producing the most accurate rooftop solar data that's available. We've now produced data for more than 100 million buildings, more than 20,000 cities. We've made this available to the cities, and it's leading to real action I'll mention later. Project AirView is Fred Krupp of EDF said, hey, you're driving those Street View cars around, why not turn them into mobile environmental sensors and measure air quality while you're doing that? We did that, and we have data for a number of cities now, hyper-local data, which is excellent for driving action planning. Here's our data for the city of Copenhagen. That was a collaboration with the city, and they're using that data now, the insights they derived about areas of pollution, how they can now create clean air, what they call thrive zones, targeted for children under 5. Hundreds of cities are now using Environmental Insights Explorer. Houston came up with a really ambitious plan of 5 million megawatt hours based upon the information they got from our data. City of Los Angeles is managing the planting of 90,000 trees to address urban heat island effects and so on. It's been really exciting to see that. And I have to say, as Google, we're just a piece of all this, right? I like to say we're kind of like, this is a very 90s analogy, but we're kind of like the IT department inside these efforts that really require working with cities and institutions on the ground who understand what's needed and how to apply it in practice. Our CEO made a commitment that we're really serious about helping cities with this and bringing whatever we can to bear, and our goal is to help cities reduce a gigaton of carbon by 2030. So we encourage, we now have data available for more than 40,000 cities. We don't have all of those insights available for every city, but most of them are available for most cities. And please, please check it out. So just in closing, I look at a lot of satellite imagery and over the years, and people ask me, do you ever get depressed, right? Like, do you ever get disheartened? And of course, we're looking here at deforestation of the Amazon. It's hard not to feel that. But what you also see is growing solar farms, growing wind farms. You see restoration projects that are so successful, like in Costa Rica, tree planting there through government policy. You can see it from space. And so I think the opportunity we have now, the science exists and is clear, the technology exists to turbocharge climate action. We just need to put it into practice, right? I don't want to be looking back in 10 years and saying, oh wow, we wrote the obituary of our planet in ever higher resolution. No, that's not the goal. We built this thing called time-lapse, almost 40-year history of the planet that we launched in Google Earth. This is one of my favorite places that you can see. The time-lapse exposes beautiful, like mesmerizing, natural, geologic processes that take place maybe over decades, and they kind of, I think, make us all fall in love with the planet. It's worth fighting for. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you.